How's it going, Jack Tackers, and welcome back to another video for you guys. Today, I'm going to be counting down my top 10 favorite films of this decade from 2010 to 2019. So without further ado, let's just get on into this. At number 10, I have We Bought a Zoo. Now, I'm sure not too many people know about this film. Came out in 2011. It's amazing. It's really heartfelt. It's really inspiring. It's just a beautiful film all around. Has a really great cast. Scarlett Johansson, Matt Damon. I mean, just to name a few. And I just love the story of this film. I think if you don't even have to love animals to like this film. It's just a good film to, try your best and to achieve the impossible sort of thing. And there's many movies like that out there, but this movie does it in a way that's just really emotional at times and just really heartfelt all around. So yeah, it's really, really good. At number 9, I have The Fire Rises, the creation and impact of the Dark Knight trilogy. Now, this is a documentary about the Dark Knight trilogy, and I had recently just watched this documentary recently for the first time. It's incredible. Now, if you know me, the Dark Knight trilogy is my favorite set of films ever made, and they go into a lot of detail about how these films were made, and it's super, super fascinating. I mean, even if you don't like the trilogy that much, I think it's still worth the watch because it does kind of show you sort of like how movies are made in some aspects, and just to see certain things and how they're executed, I guess, and put to film. But again, I think liking the Dark Knight trilogy, which I think most people do, helps while watching this. It's just super, super good and just really interesting. So yeah, it's definitely my favorite documentary of all time. At number 8, I have The Muppets 2011, the best Muppets movie. This is almost a perfect film. I mean, it's so, so great. The songs, the characters, the overall story, the cast, it's incredible what they pull off in this movie. And it's amazing. It's beautiful, man. I mean, the ending, the meaning behind it, it's so good. And it's funny at times. Obviously, it's the Muppets, and if you're a fan of the Muppets, then you'll definitely like this film. I am a fan of the Muppets. I'm not like a diehard fan though, but I mean, I still like them enough. I grew up with them and stuff, and this movie, man, ever since I saw it, I was like, I just love this film so much. So yeah, definitely had to be on the list. At number 7, I have Avengers Infinity War. This is one of the best comic book movies ever made, and it is just so amazing. I think after this film came out, people were really excited for it, but now I feel like the hype has kind of died down and people aren't realizing how great this movie is, I guess, because everyone, is so focused on Endgame at the moment. But personally, I think this is a better movie than Avengers Endgame. I still love Endgame, but Infinity War, all of these heroes coming together, and what happens at the end is just crazy. I remember watching this and just being absolutely blown away. Pun not intended. But it was just great. And the action sequences, the humor especially, was a very funny movie, even though it's kind of dark at times. But it's great. It is really, really good. At number 6, I have Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Roderick Rules. This is my favorite Wimpy Kid film, and I love it. I don't care what anyone says about this film. It is great. The relationship between Greg and Roderick is actually some emotional stuff at times, and it just has a really interesting vibe to it, because in each Wimpy Kid film, Greg has to deal with someone and his relationship with that person, and in this film it is between Greg and Roderick, and I think it's just really beautiful actually, and it's a hilarious movie. So it's just amazing. At number 4, I have Fun Size. Now, I'm sure not too many people know about this film either, but it's a great comedy, honestly. It's just fun all around. It's a Halloween film, actually, and I don't think there's, well, as many Halloween films as Christmas movies because there's just so many, but in terms of Halloween movies, this is probably the best one, and it's funny as hell, man, and the situations the characters get themselves into, it's just great. And I don't care, yeah, it's dumb, it's silly, whatever, it's not classic cinema, I don't really give a shit. Like, it's just a great movie. I enjoy watching it every single time. So yeah. At number 4, I have Batman Year One. Now, this is based off one of my all-time favorite comic books, and I had actually just recently watched this for the first time a few months ago, and it blew me away. I mean, I just love it. It's very similar to the book. It's almost an exact adaptation, but I think the voice cast is incredible in this. And that's what really sticks out to me. I mean, you have Bryan Cranston as Commissioner Gordon, Ben McKenzie as Batman. It's just so perfect. And the overall story is just great. And the animation is beautiful. And it's just an amazing movie all around. And number three, I have Just Go With It. Now, I know many people probably hate this film, but it's kind of like an inside joke between my family and my friends. Like, we just quote it every day, and I don't know, there's something about this movie that I don't know why it stuck with me this long. I mean, I always think about this movie and I'm like, why out of all the movies was this one of the films that always stuck with me? And I think part of the reason is when I was younger, I wasn't allowed to watch it. And then when I got older, I was. And I was just like, wow, that's an amazing movie. And it's so funny to me. Like, it's dumb. It's really dumb. But like, I don't know, man. It's just, this is one of the weirdest films that has stuck with me, but it just has. And I'm so glad it has, to be honest, because I fucking love it. At number two, I have El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie. Now, this movie surprised the hell out of me. I wasn't really too hyped for it because I didn't think we needed this movie, but at the same time, I was hyped for it. Like, I was like, oh man, this is Breaking Bad, and I'm just such a big fan of the television series. So I was just kind of hyped, but just kind of worried, and it's great. It is phenomenal. It did everything it needed to do. I love this movie. And yes, you have to watch the show in order to watch this movie. Some people will say it stands on its own. No, it fucking doesn't. It doesn't stand on its own at all. But I don't really care. It's a great movie. Just check it out if you've seen Breaking Bad. Well, I'm assuming you have if you have finished the series. But it's amazing. What can I say? It is just the great ending to Jesse Pinkman's story, and I love it. And at number one, I have The Dark Knight Rises. This is the only Dark Knight film of this decade, and we're going to be in a decade where I can no longer say a Dark Knight film is my favorite of the decade. Yes, we're getting more Batman movies, but out of the Dark Knight trilogy, we're not going to be living in a decade without with a Dark Knight movie. That's crazy to think to me. I'm sorry, but I just love these films. I know I talk about them so much on the channel. They're always in my top 10 lists of like my favorite movies and stuff, but I don't know, man. The Dark Knight Rises is just such a great ending to the trilogy. What can I say? I mean, Bane's a great villain. Everything just works so well in this movie, and it just concludes the story perfectly, in my opinion. And it's just a beautiful film, a beautiful score, a great story. I don't know, man. I mean, I don't want to live in a decade without a Dark Knight movie. I know that sounds so fucking stupid, but these films are just so meaningful to me, and they've impacted me in such a large scale way. So it's just crazy, you know? But anyway, those are my top 10 favorite films of this decade. Let me hear yours down in the comments below, or just give me some of your favorites. You know, you don't have to like give a full top 10 if you don't want to or can't think of a full top 10, but you can if you want, of course. But yeah, let's just talk about films down in the comments basically, and just share some of our favorite memories of watching movies in this decade. Maybe they don't even have to be from this decade. I personally chose ones from this decade because it kind of made sense, but like, what's a movie that you watched for the first time that maybe was released in the 80s or something like that? That's impacted you. Films are meaningful things to us geeks, I guess, because they're just amazing. They're amazing pieces of art, and they should be cherished. So anyway, guys, I'm not gonna keep on preaching, but if you guys like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Boop.